Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan. Remember to hope this Game Pass game is worth your time and bandwidth. Today's game is Unsouled, yet another game with the word soul in the name. But this time less Souls-like and more of a top-down, brutal action combat game. Is this game made by just one guy worth getting diced up for? Unsouled is an Xbox and PC cross-release on Game Pass. It is also available to buy on PS4 and Switch. It does feature cross-save, and the game will last you about 4 to 7 hours. So what exactly is Unsouled? Well, it's a top-down action game with a heavy emphasis on its complex combat and high level of difficulty, kind of. We'll get to that. The basic plot is uncovered via flashback after killing bosses, but the gist of it is that you are a betrayed prince out on a quest for revenge. You have gained the ability to speak to the dead and absorb souls, which are basically XP, which can be used for a variety of different things. But like I said, the main focus of Unsouled is its combat, which prides itself on being extremely complex in theory. The short version is you have a whole slew of basic attacks, from blocks to parries to dodges and combos, as well as some unique ideas, like attacking right when an enemy attacks you to counter a la Metal Gear Rising, or recharging use ability that lets you break out of an enemy's combo chain, among other things. The important thing to note is all enemies also have similar abilities as you do, meaning that in boss fights you'll need to keep an eye on your enemy's magic and abilities meter as well as your own, lest they break out of your combo chain and retaliate in kind. The game's combat arenas are split up across several levels, each taking usually under 45 minutes to complete. Some areas are almost entirely linear, while others add either set pieces or some mild side areas to explore to spruce things up. Everything is presented in the top-down pixel perspective, although it does do some cute camera tricks for cutscenes, which reveals the flat sprites in a more cinematic angle. Killing enemies will grant you souls, which can be used to upgrade your abilities and combo chains, and additionally you will find passive souls that give permanent abilities and even more new moves should you explore the world beyond just the linear path. Dying, while common, isn't super punishing, as you'll respawn at a checkpoint and keep all the XP you earned for another go, which is nice. So essentially, this is a top-down tactical action game with some intentionally complex combat in a fairly short and mostly linear game. So what do I like about Unsouled? Well, the depth of the combat is neat, with enemies on harder difficulties getting new moves and often using your own tricks against you, which can make the combat more engaging. Additionally, with the combat's complexity, it's nice the game does have a very detailed tutorial zone where it teaches you the various moves and abilities so you can learn them, as well as an auto combo move should you really need help and just not want to learn all of the mechanics at once. And lastly, I found the art direction to be generally pretty good, especially some of the later areas with some interesting zones and a lot of great blood and gore in its pixel aesthetic. When it comes to the bad, while the combat has a ton of nuances, most of the game you can beat by just using dash attack or learning how to counter. Counters are almost always instant kills and can be chained, so simply learning how to do that makes the game cake and basically negates most of the combat system. As you can imagine, this makes balance all over the place, with some enemies hardly hurting you and others locking you into combo chains that are instant death. I'd like to say that I actually combo chained most bosses to death in this game with little or no issue, even on the hardest difficulty. And lastly, the levels themselves are honestly generally fairly poorly designed, with them either being completely linear or too wide and obtuse and super easy to get lost in. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, don't bother. I'm gonna say this game is a maybe consider, but only for Game Pass. I do not recommend buying this game if you aren't getting it for free on a service. It does have a lot of neat ideas, and it's honestly really commendable that one person made this whole game. But while the combat system is robust, the game built around it does not deliver on this promise, either with its story, its levels, or its enemies. I'll admit I did have a few fun hours even on the hardest difficulty, basically dodge attacking my way through 80% of the game, but the game was either too easy and mashy or too challenging and not in the fun way. It was an interesting idea, but one that I feel ultimately fell flat. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Have you played Unsouled yet? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments, but either way, go out there and enjoy Unsouled. Just don't buy it.